Anna always considered herself a cautious woman. She followed all the safety measures, locked windows, checked doors before bed, and didn't trust strangers. However, nothing could have prepared her for the terror that began to unfold in her life. It started a few weeks ago when Anna began noticing strange little things. At first, it was just a vague feeling that someone was watching her. She brushed it off as stress work, household chores, and late-night walks could tire even the strongest person. But soon, these feelings grew into something much more. One evening, as she was coming home from work, Anna noticed a shadow flickering near her house. The figure disappeared around the corner as she approached the front door. Her heart skipped a beat, but she convinced herself it was just a passerby. Nevertheless, the sense of unease had already settled deep inside her. Every day, the suspicions grew stronger. She saw him on the street on her way to work, near the grocery store, and even on the jogging paths where she took her morning runs. The figure was always at a distance far enough to remain unnoticed but close enough for Anna to feel his gaze. He was a tall man, dressed in dark clothing, always wearing a hood that hid his face. One night, when Anna returned home later than usual, she noticed the light on her porch was off, even though it was supposed to stay on. As she inserted the key into the lock, she felt someone watching her. Turning her head, she glimpsed a shadow among the trees across from her house. It was him. She tried to hide her fear and quickly entered the house, locking the door tightly. Her heart was pounding, and Anna felt like she was standing on the edge. Her life was turning into a real nightmare. She thought the house would be her sanctuary, but she was wrong. A few nights passed in relative silence, but the sense of dread never left her. Then, one night, Anna woke up to a strange creaking sound coming from downstairs. The house was enveloped in darkness, and only the faint light of the moon filtered through the curtains. She lay in bed, listening, trying to convince herself that it was just the old wooden floorboards. But then she heard something else. Someone was slowly climbing the stairs. The steps were soft, barely audible, but deliberate. Anna froze. Her hands trembled as she reached for her phone, but it was in the other room. She was trapped, with no way to call for help. The footsteps grew closer to her bedroom. Anna heard the door creak open, followed by the sound of fabric brushing against something. And then she saw him. He stood in the doorway, his hood still covering his head, illuminated by the faint light of the moon. His face was hidden in shadow, but she could make out his glassy stare, fixed directly on her. "You thought you could run." His voice was hoarse, with a chilling hint of amusement. Anna jumped out of bed, rushing towards the window, but he was faster. In a swift motion, he grabbed her by the arm, pulling her towards him. His breath was hot against her neck as he whispered into her ear, "I've been watching you. I know everything about you." She broke free, grabbed a table lamp, and struck him with all her might. The man collapsed onto the floor, clutching his head. Anna took the chance, dashing out of the bedroom and racing downstairs. She ran through the hallway, desperately searching for the exit, but the house seemed to be playing tricks on her, slamming doors in her face and shifting the directions. Finally, she made it outside, her bare feet slapping against the wet grass, and she ran towards her neighbor's house. She pounded on the door, screaming for help. Lights flicked on, and the neighbor opened the door, immediately calling the police. Anna turned back. Her house stood silent and dark, but she knew he was still in there. When the police arrived, they found no one inside. The entire house had been turned upside down, but the intruder seemed to have vanished. The only evidence left behind was a broken table lamp and scratches on the door frame. Since that night, Anna's life was never the same. She moved away, but the fear of being followed stayed with her forever. Every time she felt eyes on her in a crowd or heard footsteps behind her, she would see the image of the man in the hood, the one who had slipped into her home that night. Anna's story is a chilling reminder that danger can often lurk in the most unexpected places, even within the safety of our own homes. The idea that someone could be watching, waiting, and planning without us even realizing it is the very essence of fear. But what is more terrifying is the psychological aftermath that follows such trauma. Even though Anna managed to escape her attacker that night, she could never truly escape the fear. The incident left her with a permanent sense of paranoia, always questioning whether she was being watched, whether she was truly alone. It's a haunting reminder that the scars left by such an encounter aren't always visible, and even when the danger appears to have passed, the fear can live on, constantly lurking in the background. The story of Anna and her stalker serves as a cautionary tale about the fragility of personal safety and the unpredictable nature of human predators. While locking doors and securing windows is important, being aware of your surroundings, trusting your instincts, and seeking help when something feels wrong can sometimes be the only thing that stands between safety and becoming the next victim. No one is ever truly prepared for the moment when a lurking shadow becomes a real threat, and not everyone escapes it as Anna did.